going on, YouTube universe? Welcome to the Hip and Shoulder, where today we are discussing everything all Australian. We have our team of 44, and there have been some huge snubs off of that list, which we will get to when it comes to selecting our team, because thankfully this squad selector includes some players that have been snubbed, and I just can't get my head around some of the players that have missed this year. It happens every year, don't get me wrong, but this year there are a handful that 100% should have made that team of 44, so I'm very keen to dive on in and to hear your thoughts as well. So throughout this video, there's going to be plenty of discussion points. Feel free to answer those all and have your voices heard in the comment section down below. But tomorrow night, the AFL award ceremony goes down and it will announce the All-Australian team, taking the squad of 44, turning it into a team of 22, which is either going to piss people off or make people incredibly happy because your fan favourites aren't going to be selected all the time. You might think that one player is deserving of another, and that's where being able to select our own teams becomes a great thing, but a very objective thing. So again, if you agree or disagree with the players that I am selecting in my team this year, feel free to let me know down below. Before we get started, I want to preface selections with two things. The first of which, I have gone through and statistically looked at every single player that has been nominated for this squad of 44. I've made them go head to head. It is something I did with my 2024 All-Australian video. So if I select a player for this squad, it is because I've looked at their stats and I think that their performance for the year has warranted selection. It is not a fan favorite selection. It's not a I prefer player A over player B scenario, so that's the way we're going. I'm trying to ground it in facts so it can be as genuine a team as possible. The second point is that I'm not going to select players that didn't make that squad of 44. I think that's a little bit redundant. I think we just select the players that did make it and we can discuss the players that got snubbed. Understood? Let's get into it. Kicking off with the full back line, 2 back pockets and a full back. Cal Wilkie is the biggest snub here. I would have had him as a lock at full back, but he did not make that squad of 44. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous because I think many, if not all people, would have had him locked up for an All-Australian spot. The first selection I am going to make, however, is Josh Worrell. Very, very, very huge season by many retrospects. Incredibly young, so the fact that he's already being floated as an All-Australian is huge for him. I feel Adelaide's backline was devised around this man, and, you know, him, Mark Keane, and McElhaney were huge this year. But I think Josh Worrell, just his interceptability, the way he just bounces back from defence and moves the ball forward, cannot look past him in this role. At full back, and I might have overlooked him a bit throughout the season because I didn't actually think he had that big of a year. And I'm the type of person, as you would know if you follow my content, I watch every game, every round. So it's not like I've been skimming over Brisbane games. But I'm going Harris Andrews at full back in a year that I thought he was actually rather quiet. But statistically speaking, he's actually had a very big year. And that just goes to show some of these players are incredibly underrated by their standard. The fact that Harris Andrews has gone, at least to myself, unrecognised and yet come in the end of the season is one of the best key defenders in the game. All credit to him. He gets selected. Back pocket, I am going Nick Vlaston. This has to be the year, right? Has to be the year he gets a jacket. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm a Richmond supporter. I'm trying to take my Richmond bias out of this. He should have already been an All-Australian at least twice. And this year has been one of, if not his best years. He has been so incredible. His intercept work, going against the flight, just shutting plays down. If it wasn't for him, we would have hemorrhaged 60-plus point losses every single week. And you can't argue the point of, oh, he finished in a bottom 4 team, so he can't get selected. Jeremy McGovern has made All-Australian in a West Coast team that finished bottom 2 before, so I think that gets thrown out the window. Another player that I've just realised that got snubbed is Lachie Whitfield. I would have thought he was a lock for All-Australian this year, because while Lachie Ash has had a breakout year in my eyes, and I called that breakout at the start of the year, mind you, I feel Lachie Whitfield has been more damaging with ball in hand. And the fact that they kept Ash, but they didn't have Whitfield in that 44, I can't get my head around it. We move on to the halfback flank. This is where positions start getting a bit more harder to pick out, because on the halfback flanks alone, we can look at Bailey Dale, Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira, Jordan Clark, Josh Dacos. Connor O'Dea did not make the 44. Max Holmes did, but I think he's more attuned to a wing this year than a halfback flank. Dane Zorko as well was huge this year. I just feel Naz gets selected straight up. And while I've been hammering on about his disposal efficiency, his last month he's cleaned that up and he's now at the top end of the 60s. I think he's about 68.9% disposal efficiency, just under 70%, which is a lot better than some of the players on this list. Players that are going to be stiff to not get selected in this backline, at least the starting backline, will be Lockie Ash, Jack Sinclair, had a big year, I thought, defensively. Jordan Clark had a good start to the year, but I think he faded off in the last. Dacos, consistency has wavered a little bit, but he's had a solid year. Dane Zorko is another one. We could comfortably go off of halfback here as well. At centre halfback, we go with Sam Taylor. Originally, I didn't have him in calculation, but considering he's had 60 plus one-on-ones this year and he's only lost 10 of those, that is incredible as a key defender. So he gets locked up. This is where the final pick becomes interesting, because we can choose Max Holmes elsewhere. Bailey Dale's had a big year this year, but out of the ones that I'm looking at here, I think Dacos and Zorko have been more pivotal to Brisbane and Collingwood's success than what Dale has for the Bulldogs, if that makes sense. I am going to go with Dane Zorko. I just think he's moved to halfback out of necessity because Kitty Coleman has been out, has been a master stroke by Chris Fagan, because his ball use off of that halfback flank is incredible. He always goes the kick over the handball. He always finds meterage with his kicks. He is clean with disposal. He is a genuine game changer. And you can argue that with Josh Dacos as well. But I think Dane Zorko has done it more often than not this year. And he needs to get just desserts for the role he has played. Moving on to the centre, we need 2 wingmen. And we need ourselves an on-baller. I've already said it. We're locking up Max Holmes on one of the wings. Disposal efficiency, again, in the 60s, which I thought was a little bit down from his usual kind of output. But he's definitely clearing Bailey Smith. And a lot of people compare these two, and people are saying Bailey Smith has had a better year. He'll probably poll more votes, don't get me wrong, because he's in the umpire's eye. But Bailey Smith, to me, has been very much this year a dump and hope kind of player. He just gets the ball, dumps it long, hopes for the best. And that's why he's running at a disposal efficiency that's close enough to only 60%. He has butchered the ball almost 40% of the time he's had it, which is close enough to a roll of the dice for 50-50. One in every two disposals is getting turned over pretty much. It's a bit rough. It is a bit rough. But Max Holmes for me on the wing, comfortable selection. In the centre, I'm going with Noah Anderson. Huge breakout year for him. I did say at the start of the season, I thought maybe he would pick up his first All-Australian blazer this year. Might very well be the All-Australian vice-captain this year too. He's been a huge reason as to why the Gold Coast are on the precipice of playing their first bout of finals in club history. At the point of this recording, later tonight, the Gold Coast will be taking on Essendon to hope to pick up that top 8 spot. If they lose, the Bulldogs get that chance. On the other wing, hard to look past him, Hugh McCluggage. He's had a great year. Severely underrated, this man, because we're always talking about Lachie Neale, Josh Dunkley, all the people that are in and under in that midfield. His work on the outside is pivotal to Brisbane's success. We can now move on to the forward line. Half forwards. I have had trouble with this line. I've had a lot of trouble with this line because I'm one of those traditionalists that don't like putting players in positions that they don't usually play. And more often than not, you will see midfielders thrown up forward for the sake of just getting them into the team. However, I would argue there are some midfielders on this list that could quantify selection in the forward line because they have played enough minutes up forward or have been involved up forward during the season for their teams enough to be recognised as one. Namely Isaac Heaney and Marcus Bontempelli. I think they've played forward targets enough. We've seen Marcus Bontempelli sometimes play one out in the forward 50 to give them a forward target. We know Isaac Heaney has taken a little bit of a backward step from that prominent midfield role and he's been forward sometimes this year. His score involvements this year as well have been absolutely incredible. Could also argue Toby Green moving into the midfield as well gives him that kind of spot, but more often you see Toby Green as a forward option. He's had a very underrated season as well, Toby Green. See Nick Martin as a forward selection when he was a defender, he was a winger, he was a forward. Like, where does it land? We can choose a lot of people here. I think my half forwards are going to be these two men. I think to stiff... Aaron Norton was stiff to not make the 44, mind you. I thought he had a tremendous year this year. Cozzy Pickett could get selected for a half forward. Toby Green could get selected for a half forward. Even Ben Long could get selected here. But I feel these two men, hard to look past them. So I'm going Isaac Heaney on one. We're going the Coleman medalist in Jeremy Cameron at centre half forward. Now, when you look at him with all these traditional key forwards, so Riley Thilthorpe, Jesse Hogan, Jack Gunston, Georgiades, Norton, they're all more stay-at-home full forwards, whereas Jeremy Cameron, you'll see him get up the field and kind of be that linking player. So I'm happy to put him at centre half forward. The other half forward, we're going with the Bont. People might disagree here. I think if it wasn't the Bont, it would probably be either Pickett or Green. If Jack Higgins had been more consistent this year, he would have been one of my first picked in my forward line. We'll move on. Deep, full forward line. So two forward pockets and a full forward. Best small forward in the comp this year has been Jamie Elliott, and I've been saying, oh yeah, he'll be an All-Australian lock, and I will comfortably pick him first. At full forward, I'm going with Thilthorpe. Now, I know Ben King finished second, I believe, for the Coleman. He's still got a game in hand. I looked at him, and then I compared the two, and Thilthorpe clears him statistically. Like, Ben King's kicked more goals. That's it. Riley Thilthorpe, better around the contest, more disposals, more score involvements. He is a more complete player, which is why I'm selecting him over Ben King. In the other forward pocket, I'm going to go Jack Gunston. Would have been tough if Aaron Norton had made the 44 to not get Norton into this team, but Jack Gunston, not only a career best in outcome with goals kicked, but his score involvements this year have been huge. If he's not kicking goals, he's setting them up and he's bringing teammates into the fold. He is well and truly deserving of an All-Australian Blazer this year. Which takes us to our followers. And this is where the snubs continue. As I said, no Tristan Cherry is huge, because I would argue, minus the 3 games where he was out suspended, Tristan Cherry's had a better year than Max Gawn. Feel free to disagree. Brodie Grundy has only really set things alight in the last 2, maybe 2.5 months. So for the second half of the year, he's been on fire. Went missing in the first half. So just by default, Max Gawn is the All-Australian ruckman here because he's had the more consistent year out of the available selections, which Cameron didn't make the team. Cherry didn't make the team. So we're rolling a dice between Brodie Grundy and Luke Jackson, and neither of those guys have been as pivotal to their team as Max Gawn has all season. So Max Gawn locked up. Jordan Dawson, Ruck Rover, will be my All-Australian captain and should go close to going All-Australian captain as well for the actual team. And Nick Dacos gets selected. Can't go past Nick Dacos there. Now we've got 4 left to pick, which is going to be tough. First of all, he didn't get selected in my back line, but I think Lockie Ash makes my bench. He's just had too good of a year to overlook. There's other GWS players I could look at. I mean, Finn Callahan had a good start, then he dropped off, then he got injured, then he came back, and he's been on fire since. Tom Green's been averaging almost 30 disposals a game. He's had a very underrated year this year. No one talking about him. He clears Matt Rowell in many retrospects. The only thing that Matt Rowell is better at is tackling, because he's averaging almost 7 tackles a game, close enough to it. But statistically, Tom Green is better than Matt Rowell. So if I was looking at bringing either of those two in, it'd probably be Tom Green. We definitely put Ed Richards in this team. He has had a breakout year, and there is no way he does not get an All-Australian Blazer this year. Having a look elsewhere, Zach Butters should be on this team. Port Adelaide underperformed, but from an individual standpoint, he has been spectacular this year. As I said, Tom Green as well. It's going to be stiff because Fremantle could miss out on players in my team. And when you compare Caleb Sarong and Andrew Brayshaw, I've been of the belief this year that Brayshaw has had a better year. I just thought he played better. Statistically speaking, Sarong has had a better year than Brayshaw. But comparing him to other players around the ground, he hasn't had as big of an impact. He's had less of an impact statistically than what Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira has, and he's a permanent midfielder. Wanganeen-Malira is playing out of a back line. So that just speaks volumes. I think here, I am going to go Tom Green. I think the averages just speak for themselves, and he warrants selection. He really does. But this makes my last pick so hard, because Libba has had a big year this year. Butters has had a big year this year. Callahan is in discussion. Rao's in discussion. I could be snubbing Bailey Smith altogether here just off of his disposal efficiency. Man, this is rough. I'm pretty sure disposal efficiency, Ed Richards is in the 60s maybe as well, but he's on the higher end of that tally. But he's had a very big year. I can't look past him. Tom Green, underrated selection. I'm feeling my last pick very well may be Matt Rowell or Zach Butters. I think Zach Butters. I mean, if you put statistically those two together, I think Zach Butters clears him. Yeah, if you look here, all the disposals go the way of Zach Butters. He's taken more marks. He has kicked 0.2 less goals. He's clearly laid less tackles because 8.7. He's nearly averaging 9 a game. I apologise, not 8. Inside 50s is just a marginable difference. Disposal efficiency, they're on par. But everything else really falls the way of Zach Butters over Matt Rowell. But Matt Rowell playing in a winning team, a team that's playing finals, does that warrant selection? Now, for those of you that might be wondering why I'm not going to go with Bailey Smith, let's have a look here and compare him and Zach Butters. If you have a look here, most of the highlights are all on this side as well. You look at the disposal efficiency. I mean, Bailey's at 63.9. Almost 10% better, Zach Butters. So, players that I'm selecting are being selected again because of statistics. It's not because I think they're just a better player. It's backed up. It's crazy to think Bailey Smith could finish top 5 in the Brownlow and I'm about to snub him for All-Australian, but I think Zach Butters gets my final spot. I think so. I think those are it. If I don't want to take Lockie Ash and we go another midfielder instead, it'd be Matt Rowell. Can I just have a bench of 4 midfielders though? That's a bit rough. I think Ash has had a big enough year in GWS's defence to warrant a spot. Ed Richards definitely. Tom Green underrated. Zach Butters, just statistically, you just saw it, defeats Matt Rowell. If you want to back that up further, we can go back here and we can get Matt Rowell back up and we can put him against the other players I've selected. So we can go GWS and we can go Tom Green. And we have a look, and majority of everything over here on this side is highlighted, apart from tackles and inside 50s. Everything else, he's been cleared by Tom Green. Again, Gold Coast and Matt Rowell. We can have a look at, Lockie Ash plays a different role. He plays a defensive role, but I mean, if you still have a look here, you'd expect Matt Rowell to do better, but I just feel... He's averaging almost 5 intercepts a game. He's taking almost 7 marks, just over 6 marks a game. Almost 28 disposals a game as a defender. Could really be a roll of the dice here with Lockie Ash. I could take him out and I could put Matt Rowell. Matt Rowell, I think, is going to be stiff here, and I think Bailey Smith. Those are the two that are going to be stiff the most. I'm tossing and turning. I don't know whether to put Matt Rowell in this team or not. He has been rather influential, but I think so has Lockie. I'm going to lock it in. I can't ponder on it longer. I cannot ponder on it any longer than I already have, ladies and gentlemen. So, my All-Australian team, stiff to miss, as you just saw, was Bailey Smith and Matt Rowell. But the team is as follows. Josh Worrell and Nick Vlosten in the back pockets with Harris Andrews at full back. Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira and Dane Zorko on the half-back flanks. Sam Taylor at centre-half back. We have Max Holmes and Hugh McCluggage on the wings with Noah Anderson in the centre. Isaac Heaney and Marcus Bontempelli on the half-forward flanks. Jeremy Cameron at centre-half forward. Jack Gunston and Jamie Elliott in the forward pockets. Riley Thilthorpe at full forward. Max Gawn in the ruck. Jordan Dawson, ruck rover. Nick Dacos, rover. And my interchange is Lockie Ash, Ed Richards, Tom Green, and Zach Butters. Dead certain that's going to trigger some people. Dead certain. But I'm going to... we're going to run with it. We're going to hope for the best. Do hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know, as I said, if you agree or disagree with my selections. You can let me know in the comment section down below. Do hit that subscribe button if you want to get on board the community we are building here, as well as commenting on how you thought I went with my selection. If you've got any ideas for content you would like to see, also let me know. I'm cooking a video looking at the best 22 under 22. I did select a team, but didn't record it, and then they went and dropped the team. So I think what I'm going to do is do a video where we look at the team that was selected and make some agreeing or disagreeing comments. Maybe take some players out, add some players in, do that kind of stuff. I will be doing tipping videos over the course of finals, which we can be a little bit deeper diving into because there's less teams to talk about. I will be doing a round recap for those finals as well, and I'm also looking at doing breakdowns of how each team performed this year and, you know, giving them pass marks, talk about what they need to improve on, everything else. But we'll do that during the preseason. We'll cook that up moving into next year, if that makes sense. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.